Compiled from court records, correspondence of Johannes Kepler, and passages from Somnium, the Dream. Prologue, a manuscript confiscated. Vienna, 1620. A bundle of strange pages, handwritten in Latin and German, was delivered anonymously to the magistrates of Leonberg. Its title, Somnium Sive Astronomia Lunaris. Attached was a note. Read this, and tell me she is not a witch. The town clerk unfolded the parchment with trembling hands. Outside, a storm brewed. Lightning illuminated the words as he read fragments aloud. The demons that carry us between worlds. My mother knows their true names. The clerk dropped the manuscript as though burned. He immediately summoned the magistrate. Sir, this concerns the Kepler woman. The evidence we've sought for years. It may be here, the clerk said urgently. The magistrate examined a page, his eyes widening. Send word to Reinbold, and find me every record of the Kepler family going back 3 generations, the magistrate ordered. Thunder crashed as he spoke. An omen. Act 1, the accusation. Leonberg Courthouse, 1615. A packed gallery watched as the accused was brought in. Katharina Kepler, 74 years old, small but unbowed, entered flanked by guards. The crowd hissed. Someone threw salt as she passed. All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Heinrich von Breitenbach, presiding in the matter of the Crown versus Katharina Kepler, accused of witchcraft, the bailiff announced. The judge entered wearing black robes and a stern expression. He surveyed the gallery with cold eyes. Be seated. These proceedings will maintain order, or I shall clear the court. Witchcraft is a matter for reason, not passion, Judge von Breitenbach declared. He nodded to the prosecutor. Your Honor, the Crown will prove beyond any doubt that the accused, Katharina Kepler, has for decades practiced the darkest arts of witchcraft. Ulrich Reinbold, the witch finder, announced as he rose dramatically. We have gathered 14 witnesses who will testify to her maleficium, how she has poisoned neighbors, summoned spirits, and corrupted the natural order through unclean powers. Reinbold walked slowly toward Katharina, pointing an accusing finger. This woman before you, do not be fooled by her aged appearance, has brought suffering to Leonberg for years. And now we have discovered the ultimate evidence of her corruption, how she has passed these forbidden arts to her son, the Imperial Mathematician. Objection, Your Honor. Master Kepler's profession and writings are not on trial here. Defense advocate Luther Einhorn interjected. Overruled. The connection between mother and son bears examination. Continue, the judge ruled. We have obtained a manuscript written by Johannes Kepler himself, titled Somnium. In it, he describes, under thin disguise of fiction, the witch's sabbaths and demon summoning taught to him by his mother, whom he calls Filxheil. The manuscript is damning, Reinbold declared. The courtroom murmured. Silence. We will proceed with witnesses. Call your first, the judge ordered. The Crown calls Ursula Reinbold, Reinbold announced. Ursula approached the witness stand, a heavy crucifix visible around her neck. Do you swear to tell the truth before God in this court? The court clerk asked. I so swear, Ursula replied. Please tell the court of your encounter with the accused, Reinbold prompted. I swear upon the Holy Scripture that Katharina Kepler came to me 6 years ago offering herbs for my ailing child. After drinking her potion, I felt as though daggers pierced my legs. I could not rise for 3 days. When the pain subsided, my cow died mysteriously, Ursula testified. You claim witchcraft from a simple herbal remedy. Judge von Breitenbach questioned. She never touches the communion cup at church. Her own sister saw her consorting with the devil in the forest glade. And when I confronted her about my suffering, she smiled strangely and said, The stars are not always kind. What Christian woman speaks this way? Ursula responded, Your Honor, I must cross-examine this witness, Einhorn said as he rose. Proceed, the judge permitted. Good wife Reinbold, did your child recover after taking the herbal remedy? Einhorn asked. Yes, but Ursula hesitated. And this cow that died, was it not already sick before Katharina visited? Einhorn continued. The devil made it appear sick, so his servant could pretend to help. Ursula exclaimed. Did you consult a physician about your leg pain? Einhorn inquired. No good Christian needs a physician to recognize the devil's work. Ursula replied firmly. No further questions, Your Honor, Einhorn concluded. Call your next witness, the judge directed. The Crown calls Magdalena Guldemann, Reinbold announced. A well-dressed, middle-aged woman approached the stand, visibly nervous. I saw her many nights, walking under moon with no lantern. Once, when I followed, I saw her kneeling in a circle of white stones, chanting. She carries a silver amulet always hidden beneath her clothes. I glimpsed it when she bent to collect water, Magdalena testified. And what do you believe she was doing in this circle of stones? Reinbold probed. Summoning her familiar, of course. The night after I saw her, a great wind damaged my roof. No other house on the street was touched, Magdalena claimed. Your Honor, may I approach the witness? Einhorn requested. The judge nodded. Goodwife Guldemann, you say you followed Katharina Kepler at night. Why were you yourself abroad at such an hour without a lantern? Einhorn questioned. The witness flushed. I was returning from visiting my sister, Magdalena answered. Your sister lives in the opposite direction from where you claim to have seen my client. And is it not true that you have been engaged in a property dispute with the Kepler family for the past decade? Einhorn pressed. That land was stolen from my family. Magdalena said angrily. Your Honor, I move to strike this witness's testimony as motivated by personal grievance, Einhorn requested. Motion denied. The jury will determine credibility, the judge ruled. Reinbold displayed the manuscript of Somnium to the court. Let me read from this damning document, written by the accused's own son, Reinbold announced. The clerk read from Somnium, Fragment 2. I was born on the island of Iceland to a woman skilled in herbs and incantations, whom the people call Filchild. She trafficked with spirits and taught me the courses of stars. My mother's knowledge came not from books, but from beings who live in the shadows of our world. From a son's own hand. What more evidence do we need? Reinbold declared dramatically. My son writes stories. Is imagination now a crime in Württemberg? Katharina spoke up for the first time. The accused will speak only when questioned, the judge admonished. A commotion erupted at the back of the courtroom. Johannes Kepler entered, travel-worn but with a commanding presence. Act 2. Kepler enters the court. Johannes Kepler strode forward. The gallery whispered. He carried a leather satchel filled with papers and books. Your Honor, I request permission to address this court. I am Johannes Kepler, Imperial Mathematician to His Majesty Emperor Ferdinand, Kepler announced. Permission granted, though this is highly irregular, the judge replied, impressed despite himself. You summon me as the Emperor's Mathematicus, but I come here as a son. My mother is no more a witch than I am an alchemist. What you call sorcery, I call science. And what you call evidence is my fiction, a dream, Kepler stated firmly. How convenient that you call it fiction now that it endangers your mother, Reinbold sneered. I began writing Somnium in 1609, long before any accusation against my mother. It is a philosophical and astronomical thought experiment, Kepler explained. And yet the fiction contains a woman exactly like your mother. It contains the knowledge only witches know, Reinbold countered. Let me read to you, then, the dream in question, Kepler said, hesitating. He opened the manuscript and read Somnium, Fragment 7. At the age of 14, I was taken by my mother to a cavern, where we invoked the spirits who carry the soul in sleep. In trance, I beheld the demon Lavania, and he told me, the earth spins, though its people do not feel it. The moon watches. A murmur crossed the court. So it is true. You admit your mother called spirits. Reinbold exclaimed triumphantly. I admit I wrote a dream. And yet, dreams, as Hippocrates tells us, are the voice of the soul freed from the tyranny of the senses. What you see as demonic is simply allegorical. The cave is the mind reaching into darkness. The demon is inspiration, Kepler explained. Pretty words to disguise ugly truths, Reinbold dismissed. Kepler removed astronomical charts from his satchel, displaying them for the court. These are my calculations of planetary motion, based on mathematics, not magic. I use metaphor and Somnium to explain difficult concepts, Kepler argued. Somnium, Fragment 15. Lavania is not as Earth. There, day and night last 2 weeks each. The inhabitants sleep buried beneath ground during daylight. Their eyes cannot see sun directly, but they see Earth always in the sky, rotating, turning blue and white, and full of fire. How can you describe the Earth from the moon, unless you've been there? The judge questioned. I have studied Tycho Brahe's tables. I have built a model in my mind. If that be witchcraft, then let all astronomers burn. The ancients, Plutarch, Lucian, they too dreamed of lunar journeys. Were they all conjurers? Kepler responded. He produced a book. Here is Plutarch's On the Face in the Moon, written nearly 1,500 years ago. He too imagines lunar inhabitants. Was he a witch? Kepler asked. They did not have mothers accused of poisoning their neighbors, Reinbold dismissed. My mother sells herbal remedies as her mother before her. Knowledge of plants is not witchcraft. It is wisdom passed through generations. Would you rather your sick die without comfort? Kepler's voice rose. Master Kepler, while the court respects your position with the emperor, you are not the advocate in this case, the judge reminded. Then I shall hire the finest legal minds in the empire. This mockery of justice will not stand, Kepler declared boldly. The crowd gasped at his boldness. This court will recess until tomorrow. The accused will remain in custody, the judge announced. As guards led Katharina away, mother and son exchanged a meaningful glance. Act 3. The dangerous details. The next day, the courthouse was even more crowded. A special seat had been prepared for a representative of the Duke of Württemberg, showing the case's growing importance. The court recognizes Friedrich von Baldung, representing His Grace the Duke, the judge announced. Von Baldung nodded regally. Prosecutor Reinbold, call your next witness, the judge directed. The Crown calls Minister Elias Binder, Reinbold announced. A Lutheran minister in black robes approached, Bible in hand. The woman Katharina once told me that her grandmother showed her a silver bowl filled with water. In it, she claimed to see the dark side of the moon, mountains and valleys no human eye has witnessed. She spoke of creatures dwelling in lunar caves who sometimes visit Earth in human form. Minister Binder testified. And as a man of God, how did you interpret these statements? Reinbold asked. They trouble me greatly. No Christian woman should claim such knowledge, the minister replied. And what of this, Kepler? This passage, was it your invention or hers? Reinbold questioned. Reinbold dramatically read from Somnium, Fragment 22. Our journey to Lavania must be made at a specific celestial alignment. When Earth's shadow covers the moon, we leap, assisted by demons, and traverse the void in a violent fury of motion. Many perish on the way. The demons choose only those with lean bodies, accustomed to pain. This is not metaphor. This is instruction. This is ritual, the judge declared. You read allegory as confession. The lean bodies are the minds of scholars. The pain is the price of discovery. When Earth's shadow covers moon, this is a lunar eclipse, a celestial phenomenon I have precisely calculated. The demons, forces of nature, gravity, the pull of bodies upon each other, Kepler explained quietly. Einhorn stood. Your Honor, I call for a demonstration, Einhorn proposed. A demonstration of what, precisely? The judge inquired. Master Kepler's astronomical knowledge, to prove these demons are merely natural forces misunderstood, Einhorn explained. Murmurs filled the courtroom. This is highly irregular, but given the unusual nature of the evidence, proceed, the judge allowed. Kepler set up a model of the Earth and moon on the evidence table. What appears to common eyes as Earth's shadow covering moon is what astronomers call a lunar eclipse. It occurs when Kepler began. This is blasphemy. He speaks of heavenly bodies as though they were mere objects. Reinbold interrupted. Let him continue, the Duke's representative commanded. The authority in his voice silenced Reinbold. The moon circles Earth. Earth circles the sun. When they align, shadow falls. This happens according to mathematical laws I have calculated. Not by demon's whim, Kepler explained. He demonstrated with a model, moving the spheres to show an eclipse. Yet you write as though you have experienced these things personally, the judge observed. I write as a man who has spent nights peering through lenses, watching heavenly bodies dance. If I seem too familiar with these motions, it is because I have devoted my life to their study, Kepler replied. The clerk read Somnium, fragment 34. There are certain old women among us who speak in riddles, but the demons understand them. They do not die, but vanish when needed. They live both on Earth and Lavania. My mother is one. The court fell silent. A raven struck the chapel window. A candle extinguished itself. The townsfolk began to whisper not about the guilt, but the power of the Keplers. His own words condemn her. My mother is 1 foot. What more confession do we need? Reinbold declared triumphantly. A writer may say my mother in a fictional work without implicating his actual mother. Have you never read poetry? In this passage, the narrator, who is not me, speaks of his fictional mother, Kepler argued. Unexpected testimony began. Your Honor, a new witness has come forward, the court clerk announced. Who? The judge asked. Katharina Kepler's neighbor of 20 years, Barbara Mayerin, the clerk replied. An elderly woman approached the stand, supported by a cane. I've known Katharina since she was a girl. Yes, she gathers herbs. Yes, she looks at stars. But there is something you should know about Ursula Reinbold, Barbara began. Objection. This witness was not on our list. Reinbold protested. I'll allow it. Continue, goodwife Mayerin, the judge ruled. Ursula Reinbold came to Katharina begging for a potion to cause her husband's new mistress to miscarry. When Katharina refused, Ursula swore she would see her burn. Barbara revealed. Gasps echoed throughout the courtroom. She lies. The witch has bewitched her too. Ursula jumped up, shouting, Order! I will have order! The judge demanded, banging his gavel. I have never spoken to spirits. I have never poisoned a neighbor. I have made remedies from God's own plants. Yes. I have looked at the moon and stars. Yes. Is this now forbidden to women of Württemberg? Katharina Kepler spoke calmly. The accused denies the charges. There is only one way to know for certain if she speaks truth, Reinbold said. He gestured to a court bailiff, who brought forward a wooden box. Opening it revealed gleaming metal instruments, implements of torture. The law allows for the extraction of truth, Reinbold stated. You cannot. She is an elderly woman. Kepler exclaimed, horrified. Your Honor, I request an immediate recess to prepare a motion against this barbaric suggestion, Einhorn requested. Granted. Court will reconvene tomorrow, the judge decided. Act 4. The Edge of Torture. Katharina was imprisoned in the tower at Leonberg. The instruments of torture were prepared, thumbscrews laid out on a velvet cloth. Kepler visited his mother in her cell. Johannes, they will make me say terrible things, Katharina said softly. They will not touch you. I swear it. I have petitioned the emperor himself, Kepler promised. Your book. They twist your words, Katharina observed. I know. I am adding explanations, footnotes to make clear the astronomical meaning of each passage, Kepler explained. There are things about the heavens I showed you as a child. Things your grandmother showed me. Remember the silver bowl? Katharina lowered her voice. Mother, speak not of that now. These walls have ears, Kepler warned. A guard approached. Time's up, the guard announced. Back in the courtroom the next day, Kepler carried new documents, letters bearing imperial seals. Your Honor, I present a letter from His Imperial Majesty Ferdinand II, expressing concern about these proceedings against the mother of His Imperial Mathematician, Kepler announced. The judge examined the letter, visibly impressed by the seal. The court acknowledges the emperor's interest in this matter, the judge said carefully. Even emperors must bow to God's law against witchcraft, Reinbold countered. I have also prepared a complete analysis of every passage in Somnium, explaining their astronomical meanings, Kepler said. He presented a thick sheaf of papers, footnotes longer than the original text. Furthermore, I have statements from scholars at Tübingen University confirming that my work is mathematical in nature, not magical, Kepler added. Words on paper cannot erase the testimony we've heard, Reinbold dismissed. An unexpected, dramatic moment occurred as the Duke's representative stood. The Duke of Württemberg reminds this court that torture is to be used only as a last resort, and only with his express permission in cases involving respected families, von Baldung stated. Reinbold seethed, but could not challenge ducal authority. This court will consider these new submissions. In the meantime, the accused will remain in custody, but no questioning will proceed without further order, the judge ruled. Months blurred past. Kepler worked frantically, often by candlelight, moving between desks piled high with papers. He wrote countless letters, consulted endlessly with lawyers, and painstakingly revised Somnium, adding extensive footnotes to clarify his astronomical intent. This replaces the montage description for a more narrative flow. But secretly, he rewrote certain passages of Somnium. One original survived. Somnium, fragment 40, and censored. The spirits told us that Earth is not the only world. That many Earths float in the void, each with their own moons, each with their own watchers. My mother taught me to speak their names. In our tongue, they sound like winds. Kepler visited his mother in prison again, bringing bread and blankets. Guards reported they spoke in hushed tones. They spoke of stars. The old woman drew patterns in the dust of her cell floor. I heard her say, "Remember what I showed you in the silver bowl." The mathematician wept like a child, a prison guard testified later. A dramatic courtroom showdown was building. My mother is 74 years old. Her body is frail. If you apply the torture, she will confess to anything. Communion with Satan, riding broomsticks, causing hailstorms. All of it false. Is this how Württemberg seeks truth? Through breaking bones of old women. Kepler challenged the court. He unfolded a large astronomical chart on the main table. Here is the true subject of my Somnium. The moon, as it would appear if humans could journey there. These calculations enable me to create the Rudolphine tables that guide our ships at sea. Is accurate navigation now considered witchcraft? Kepler argued. The judge examined the charts with genuine interest. His Imperial Majesty and the Duke have taken special interest in this case. Johannes Kepler's astronomical tables guide our ships and calendars. The Duke wishes this matter resolved without excessive measures, the Duke's representative stated. The law demands confession, Reinbold insisted. The law demands truth. And truth requires evidence, not forced confessions, Kepler countered. A dramatic moment came as new evidence was introduced. Your Honor, I have obtained statements from 4 physicians who examined the alleged victims of Katharina Kepler's supposed witchcraft. All conclude natural causes for their ailments, Einhorn announced. Objection. These physicians are not witnesses to the spiritual harm caused. Reinbold protested. Objection overruled. This court will consider medical evidence, the judge ruled. The tide appeared to be turning. Act V. The verdict and the whisper. 6 years had passed since the first accusation. Katharina had been imprisoned, released, and threatened again. The case had traveled through multiple courts. Kepler had spent his fortune on her defense. The final day of trial arrived. The gallery was packed. Katharina looked frail but dignified in simple clothes. Kepler stood beside her, hand on her shoulder. This court has reviewed all evidence and testimony in the matter of Katharina Kepler. The question before us is whether sufficient proof exists to warrant further examination under special conditions, Judge von Breitenbach announced. A euphemism for torture that made everyone uncomfortable. In matters of witchcraft, the court must be especially diligent, lest innocent blood be shed or guilty parties escape justice, the judge continued. A dramatic pause fell as everyone awaited the verdict. In the absence of confession, and under pressure from learned men and noble authorities, we find insufficient cause to proceed with further examination. Katharina Kepler is released from custody. All charges are hereby dismissed, the judge declared. A collective gasp rose from the gallery. Reinbold stood, face red with anger. Your Honor, I must protest. The evidence clearly indicates, Reinbold began. My ruling is final. This matter has consumed enough of this court's time and the public treasury. The case is dismissed. The judge interrupted firmly, banging his gavel. Katharina walked free. Her spine was bowed, but her eyes shone. She whispered something to her son that no scribe heard. They cannot touch what lies between the stars. Remember the silver bowl, Katharina whispered. As they exited the courthouse, the crowd parted. Some crossed themselves. Others bowed their heads in shame. A final scene showed Katharina returning to a small cottage. She died 6 months later. No priest was called. Epilogue. Johannes writes in shadow. Vienna, 1623. Kepler study. By candlelight, he completed the footnotes to Somnium, explaining each passage as astronomical allegory. But late at night, gazing into the night sky, he wrote a final postscript never published. Postscriptum secretum. I called it a dream. I called it fiction, but I dreamed only what was shown to me. My mother knew the name of the gate, and I, through her, saw the world beyond. The spirits do not burn. They wait. He sealed the manuscript in a lead box, buried it beneath an observatory stone. Above, the moon entered eclipse. Years later, after Kepler's death, a young astronomer examined papers found among Kepler's effects. Curious, he calculated lunar features no telescope of his day could have revealed, the astronomer remarked. The astronomer held up a drawing showing mountain ranges on the lunar far side, only confirmed by modern spacecraft centuries later. And here, a reference to a silver bowl, the astronomer mused. Afterward, historians note, in 1634, after Kepler's death, Somnium was published by his son, but the original draft, annotated in Katharina's hand, was lost in the fire at Regensburg. Some say she never died, only leapt at last. During a lunar eclipse, the demons choose only those with lean bodies, accustomed to pain.